Hello and welcome to GD Live at PALS, to the subject GD Science, and in the screencast we will have a look at some common questions in the GD Science test and the general topics that you can expect to see. So first let's have a quick review on what's on the test. The test will be split in about 40% life science, 40% physical science, and 20% earth and space science, with the content areas we can see below. The main themes that the test is focusing on are human health and living systems and energy and related systems, more specifically here in a bit. So the test content topics, the primary focus of the GD test. Science is the measurement of essential reasoning skills, analysis, evaluation and inference applied in scientific context. The science content topics describe key concepts that are widely taught in a variety of high school level courses and are relevant to the lives of GD test takers. The content topics provide context for measuring the skills outlined in the science practices. So again, here the content areas for human health and living systems pertains to material that is vital for the health and safety of all living things on the planet. Topics relating to this theme include, but not are limited to, the physical body, human body, characteristics of humans and other living things, systems of living organisms and related topics like diseases, evolution and heredity and ecosystems, the mechanisms for how the human body works on chemical and physical levels, organ systems, and how the environment affects living things and the human society. Ecosystems are integrated with human influences on ecosystems, and how humans and other organisms affect the environment. The theme of energy and related systems deals with a fundamental part of the universe and includes, but is not limited to, sources of energy, transformations of energy, uses of energy, how energy flows through organisms and ecosystems, Earth's geochemical systems, nutrient cycles, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, and so on, water cycle, how humans gain energy in their bodies, the results of the uses of the energy used in the human body. If you want to learn more about these content areas, we have many different screencasts and lessons in our YouTube channel, so check out these as well if you need help in some of these content areas. Everything's well organized on our YouTube page, so check it out. More interestingly, besides these general science content topics, are the scientific practices. Here let's just have a look at the main titles: comprehending scientific presentations, investigation, design, experimental and observational, reasoning from data, being able to understand and reason from graphs and tables, and textual evidence, evaluating conclusions with evidence, working with findings, expressing scientific information, scientific theories, and probability and statistics. It would be a bit much to go through every single point here. If you want to have a closer look at that, you can find all of this information on the GED.com homepage. So these will be the two main things around which the GED questions in the test will be designed. They usually pick 1 or 2 points from the scientific practices list and combine it with a content topic from one of the 3 parts: life science, physical science, or earth and space science. So one question will be a combination of these 2 or 3 things: science content topics, one of the 3, and 1 or 2 points from the scientific practices framework. Again, probably most importantly for the GED test, you will not be You will not have to memorize definitions of scientific terms and things like that, but most importantly is, as it says here, the science test mainly focuses on measuring the essential reasoning skills of you. So being able to analyze, evaluate, and infer from texts that are related to scientific contents and topics, and interpret, analyze, and evaluate graphical representation of data or data represented in tables. So how are these? Again, let's have a look at more general design of the test. First of all, there are approximately 40%, we already said that, of the test will focus on life science, 40% physical science, 20% on earth science. The test includes items that test textual analysis and understanding data representation, inference skills, as well as problem solving with science content. Each item on the science test aligns with both one scientific practice and one content topic. Each item also reflects one depth of knowledge level of cognitive complexity based on the appropriate alignment to a science practice. Approximately 60% of the items reflect a depth of knowledge level of 2 to 3, and we can see these depth of knowledge levels here on the side. Again, if you want to know more about this, you can check out ged.com. The contexts within which problem-solving skills are measured are taken from both academic and workforce contexts, and approximately 50% of the items are in scenarios in which 2 or 3 items are based on a single stimulus, textual, graphic, or a combination of both. That means in about 50% of the questions you will have one main text or graph or both, and then you will have 2 to 3 questions that are based on that information. Item types in the science test, we have 5 different item types. We have multiple choice items. Probably most of the items are going to be multiple choice questions. There are fill in the blank items, there are drag and drop items or drop down items, or hotspot items. So what does that mean, drag and drop? You will have certain boxes that you have to draw into other boxes. Drop down menu is fill in the blank, but a bit easier. You have certain options to fill a blank. Fill in the blank usually means you have to write the word yourself into the blank. Again, drop down is going to be a more easy version of that. Hotspot items usually are going to be on graphs where you have to interact with the graph, clicking on a certain point in the graph. They might ask you to identify a certain value or position in a graph, and these are these hotspot items. So let's have a look at some example questions that focus on different parts in the content areas and the scientific practices. So first question that we can have a look at, we see our prompt here is just a graph. That's what we get for the question. We don't have text here, so let's have a look at the graph and the question. According to the chart above, which of the following regions will have the largest projected increase in the number of AIDS deaths between 2001 and 2020? So we see we have different lines on the graph. The lines are named in the key. We have Africa, Southeast Asia, East Asia Pacific, Eastern Europe, North America, and Northern Europe. And the question is, where will we have the largest projected increase? This graph can be a bit confusing. A answer that might be tempting would be A, Africa, because Africa has the highest number of AIDS deaths still in 2020, but that is not the question. The question is for the largest projected increase. and the graph that shows the largest increase in the recent years, that goes up most, that is Southeast or South and Southeast Asia. So our correct answer would be B here. So going to our science content and science practices, what does this question relate to? This question relates to life science. We are probably in the human body and health here. And in terms of scientific practices, we are probably at comprehending scientific presentations, understanding and explaining non-textual scientific presentations. So that's probably where we are in this question here. Let's have a look at the second question. Waves that foretell tidal waves. So we get a little bit of text here. Seismometer readings of Earth motion from the fault city quake reflect much larger, long-period surface waves at point R1 than those from the Nicaragua quake. So here we have fault city, Nicaragua. The small text is mainly about R1. So R1 is our point of interest here. So this region. And let's see what the question says. Select the point on the graph that would be the most important, would be of most importance in foretelling an earthquake in Nicaragua. So this is a hotspot item in the test. This would be interactive. You could click somewhere, a spot or an X would show up, and if it's in the right region, you would get the point. If it's in the wrong region, you wouldn't get the point. So what are we interested here? We are interested in foretelling an earthquake in Nicaragua. We can see that the main quake is on R2. So we are looking at a smaller quake that happens before the main quake, and that is position R1. Again, that's what the text above tells us as well. Waves that foretell tidal waves, point R1 foretells the main quake. So the question is about foretelling the earthquake in Nicaragua. Nicaragua is the top wave, so we should click somewhere around R1 of the Nicaragua graph, somewhere in this region here. Again, this question refers to the same scientific practices, part SP1, comprehending scientific presentation, probably reasoning from data as well. And it relates to physical science or earth science contents, Earth and its system components and interactions. Probably part B of earth science here. All right, our next question. Text-based question. Researchers in a particular city theorize that decreasing the greenhouse gas emissions in that city will result in better respiratory health for its citizens. In order to test this theory, they institute two programs. The first program provides commuters with financial incentives to take public transportation, and the second program initiates a respiratory care education campaign and provides free clinics for citizens suffering from respiratory health issues. During the 5 years after the researchers institute the two programs, greenhouse gas emissions in the city decreased by 50%, and the citywide survey reveals that cases of illness due to respiratory problems have decreased by 65%. Researchers therefore conclude that their theory was correct. Decreasing the greenhouse gas emissions resulted in better respiratory health for their local citizens. Which of the following best shows why the researchers' conclusion was flawed? So this is probably one of the more difficult questions in the GED science test. It asks you about analyzing this text and analyzing the scientific work that the researchers have done here, their experiment basically. What is flawed about their conclusion? What is flawed about their work? So let's have a look. What does this relate to on our list here? I would say it relates to our second point, investigation design. Identify possible sources of error and alter the design of an investigation to get rid of the error. Identify and refine a hypothesis of a scientific investigation. Identify strengths and weaknesses of one or more scientific investigation. So that's probably the main point where we are on. What's a weakness? What's a flaw about the scientific investigation of the researchers in their experiment? So, which of the following best shows why the researchers' conclusion was flawed? They failed to compare the city's air quality to that of any other town. They should have tested the city's drinking water too. Both don't relate to the actual experiment here. The conclusion doesn't explain the 15% difference between the decrease in greenhouse gases and the decrease in respiratory problems. The study is not saying that they would expect the exact similar percentage. Answer D must be the correct one. They instituted 2 programs instead of 1, so they can't be sure which is responsible for the resulting health improvements. Yes. Again, if you learn about the scientific method, if you have learned about it already, you should know that usually an experiment has one independent variable, so that we see the effect on the dependent variable. In this case, we have 2 independent variables, we have 2 programs, so we can't tell, or the scientists can't tell, which one is related to the health improvements of the citizens. And one more question as an example. Bees are insects that play an important role in an ecosystem that has flowering plants. Bees serve as primary pollinators and enable flowering plants to reproduce. Scientists estimate that nearly 1/3 of the human food supply consists of plants that depend on bees for pollination. Based on the information above, which characteristic of bees is most important to an ecosystem? So here we have inference, scientific reasoning. Bees create honey for human consumption. Bees serve as pollinators. Bees sting harmful insects that would otherwise eat and destroy plants. Bees transfer their genes to plants. So you need to know, you need to have a little bit of scientific background here. Good to know some of the important vocabularies here. But the inferred from the text, answer B is correct. Bees serve as pollinators. That's why they are important, because that enables flowers to reproduce, which means the human food supply is saved, because these plants depend on bees for pollination. All right, I hope I could help you to clarify a bit what kind of questions you can expect on the GED science test. Again, if you want to know a bit more about the general topics, there are many science screencasts on our YouTube channel, so check these out if you want to study and practice a bit more. Until then, see you next time. Have a good day.